People can argue, although I suspect in this audience there may not be much of an argument, about the pluses and minuses of marijuana, but everybody knows marijuana is not a killer drug like heroin. And that is why I have introduced legislation to take marijuana out of the Controlled Substance Act. It is a decision of a state, as you all know, whether they make marijuana legal or not, but it should not be a federal crime. But when we talk about drugs, everybody here knows or should know that today in my state of Vermont, neighboring New Hampshire, all over this country, we have a major crisis in terms of opiate and heroin addiction, that every day people are dying from overdoses. This is an issue that we have got to address. Too many lives are being shattered. And the first way to address that issue is to understand that substance abuse and addiction is a health issue, not a criminal issue. And that is why we need a revolution in mental health delivery in this country. And it's not just substance abuse. It is the fact that tragically in America today there are thousands of people walking our streets who are suicidal, who are homicidal, who need treatment today, not 6 months from now. This campaign is doing as well as it is because we are listening to the people of America, not wealthy campaign contributors. We are listening to working people, and they tell me they can't make it on $8 or $9 an hour. And that is why, together, we're going to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. This campaign is listening to senior citizens and disabled vets. And what they are telling me is they cannot make it on $11,000 or $12,000 a year Social Security. And you know what? Nobody can. Now, unbelievably, we got Republicans in the Senate and the House. They want to cut Social Security benefits. Well, I've got some bad news for them. We're not going to cut Social Security benefits. We're going to expand Social Security benefits. This campaign is listening to women. And what women are telling us is they are sick and tired of earning 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. And I know that every man here tonight will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity for women workers. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Latino community. There are 11 million undocumented people in this country, and what our Latino brothers and sisters are saying is they are tired of living in the shadows, tired of living in fear, tired of being exploited. They want, I want, comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. And if Congress does not do its job, I will use the executive powers in the presidency to make sure we do everything that we can. Our immigration policy must be about bringing people together, not dividing up families. And I will stop the deportations that we currently see. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the African American community. And what they are asking is, how does it happen that we apparently have trillions of dollars to spend on a war in Iraq that we never should have gotten into, a war which I vigorously opposed, we can spend money for war, but apparently we don't have the money to rebuild devastated communities all over this country, like Flint, Michigan. I was in Flint, Michigan a number of weeks ago, and what I saw there, I honestly could not believe was happening in the United States of America in the year 2016. Children being poisoned with excessive lead in the water. But it's not just Flint. It is cities and communities all over this country where water systems are inadequate, wastewater plants falling apart, roads, bridges, levees, dams, rail system. We need to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. We can create millions of jobs doing that. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Native American community. I've had the privilege, as I traveled this country, to meet with some wonderful, wonderful tribal leaders who are doing extraordinary things for their people. But everybody here knows, and again, this is a truth, it's an unpleasant truth, but it's a truth that we have to deal with. And everybody here knows that from before the United States became the United States, before we were a country, Native Americans were treated absolutely disgracefully. They were lied to, they were treated, and treaties that were negotiated in good faith were broken. We owe the Native American people more than we can ever repay them. They have given us the most important and beautiful parts of our culture. They have taught us about the environment and the understanding that as human beings, we are part of nature. We cannot destroy nature. And yet today, in Native American communities and on reservations, unemployment rates sky high, poverty much too high, schools inadequate, suicide rates terrible. If elected president, we will fundamentally change our relationship to the Native American people. I am a member of the United States Senate Committee on the Environment. And let me tell you what Republican governors and senators and members of the House do not have the guts to acknowledge. And that is, the debate is over. Climate change is real. It is caused by human activity, and it is already doing devastating problems to our country and around the world. We have a moral responsibility to leave this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable for future generations. And together, we are going to take on the fossil fuel industry. We are going to tell them that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of our planet. This campaign is listening to young people. And young people are asking me, they're saying, Bernie, how does it happen that everybody, our parents, our teachers, everybody told us to get the best education that we can? Everybody told us that we live in a competitive global economy. We need the best educated workforce in the world. And yet, when we did the right thing, when we got that education, we ended up $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 in debt. Here is another simple truth, and this campaign is about telling the truth. 50 years ago, you had a high school degree, you could go out in this economy and probably get yourself a damn good job at decent pay. 50 years ago. The world has changed, the economy has changed, technology has changed. Today, in many respects, a college degree is the equivalent of what a high school degree was 50 years ago. And that is why, when we look at public education today, it is not good enough to just have free schools, free public schools from first grade to 12th grade. In the year 2016, we need to make public colleges and universities tuition free. This is not a radical idea. Don't let anybody tell you this is a radical idea. This exists in Germany, it exists in other European countries, in Scandinavia, and you know what? 50 years ago, it existed in the United States of America, where our great universities and colleges were virtually tuition-free. If we could do this 50 years ago, we could do it today. And here's what we have got to accomplish. I grew up in a family where my parents never went to college. We didn't have much money, so I know about this. All over this country, you got kids in the 4th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade. Their parents never went to college. They don't have any money. I want those kids to know that if they do well in school, take school seriously, yes, regardless of the income of their family, they will be able to get a college education. And in addition, we have got to significantly lower student debt in this country. All over this country, I've talked to people young and not so young, not so young. Talked to a woman in New Hampshire, she's paying off her own student debt and her daughter's student debt. Talked to a guy in Nevada, he's been paying off his student debt for 25 years. He's more in debt today than he was when he took it out. What we have got to do is allow people who have student debt to refinance that debt at the lowest interest rates they can find. Now, my opponents say, the establishment media says, well, Bernie, you know, you're Santa Claus giving away all this free stuff, free tuition in public colleges, lowering student debt. How are you going to pay for it? Well, let me tell you how we will pay for it. And this is why we got to think outside of the status quo of the options that the corporate media gives us. 8 years ago, as a result of the greed and recklessness and illegal behavior on Wall Street, this country, as you all know, was plunged into the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. Millions of people lost their homes, their lives, their life savings, and their jobs. We bailed out Wall Street. Well, I think now is the time to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. If the middle class could bail out Wall Street, it's Wall Street's time to help the working families of this country. We've got Republican senators and governors, everybody else running all over the country talking about family values, how much they love families. I want everybody here to be clear about what Republicans mean when they talk about family values, and what that is that no woman in this vast room, in this state, in this country, should have the right to control her own body. I disagree. What they mean is that our gay brothers and sisters should not have the right to be married. I disagree. That is their family values. Jane and I have been married 27 years. Actually, my anniversary is coming up soon. Thank you for reminding me. Pretty soon. All right. So I'll give this speech and I'll remember maybe my anniversary date. And we have 4 great kids and 7 beautiful grandchildren. And there's nobody in the world who believes in family more than my wife. Me too, but she does more.